For more now, we are joined by Professor Saths Cooper, a psychologist and anti-apartheid activist. Prof, thank you so much for your time and a very good evening to you. What was your immediate reaction to this postponement?
Well, I think it was expected because, and the advocate should have known that he would have been conflicted and should have recused himself. That's one. And already this is happening in the last month of the 6 months that were prescribed for the commission to start. So the feeling that I think a lot of the victims, and you've heard them, who've been protesting, sleeping outside the Constitutional Court, and Thembi Simelane expressed it very well, the untidiness of the state in dealing with this. And that's putting it kindly, because that's exactly what this commission is supposed to unearth. So when we start in this way, I think it already gives the lie to this liberal democracy we talk about, and the majority of people find themselves outside its ambit. And if we do this to those who suffered from opposing that crime against humanity, apartheid, but we've favored the perpetrators, many of them living on pensions and so on. It's a clear violation of what that act was and what the report was all about. So again, I think many people will just say that it's part of the delaying tactics. And I trust that the commission will see the urgency of ensuring that they get on with doing this, because families have waited now for decades, and it's about time that those who suffered at the hands of those who were in power before don't continue to suffer for whatever reason, for whatever political, narrow political, or other gains that there may be because of the failure of the state to carry out its promise.
You speak of these families that have been waiting for decades. I mean, we heard there one of the family members saying it seems as though there's a prioritizing of amnesty over reparations, and that's a very sad statement to hear from someone who's possibly gone through the worst, some not even knowing where their family members are. What's the psychological impact on these kind of postponements on these marginalized communities and families that have waited for so long?
Well, look, the reparations are a fraction of what the perpetrators get, because they've remained on state payrolls, they've remained as pensioners, and their families have benefited. Being a victim of gross human violations myself twice over, I was offered 30,000 and I refused to accept it, just on principle, at that time in the late 1990s, because I felt that I held a job and that those worse off than me should be given it. And there were many attempts by those persons at the TRC to say, you should take it. I didn't. And I can imagine what that 30,000 single payment was when there are people who have been released from prison and are paid more than that in today's money per month. So the scale of justice just doesn't seem to be working for the majority of our people. And the feeling of mistrust gets consolidated, and we can see the reactions out there from ordinary people on various things. People are losing faith in a democracy that's we boast about. You know, it's liberal, it's democratic, but it is not inclusive. It does not cater for the majority. Indeed, a small minority of fairly wealthy people, people in power, benefit from the fruits of this democracy. And as we are in the 31st year of our democracy, I think our leaders at whatever level, across sectors, should be looking very, very carefully at how we have betrayed the trust of the majority of people who don't participate in democracy.
I mean, speaking of that betrayal of trust and the scale at which justice is not working for our people, when we continue to prolong such commissions and there being these delays for addressing some of these apartheid-era crimes, what do you think would be the risk from a societal and historical perspective?
Well, it's saying that the justice is not available for people. Social justice, let alone legal justice, is not available because the majority of our people live in dire poverty. And then when you have the direct descendants and persons who were clear targeted victims of the previous crime against humanity, which the United Nations proclaimed, then it says that somewhere and in very high places, most of the leadership don't care jot for the majority's concerns. And why we're in the parlous state we are in, at an economic level, at a social level, we have the highest unemployment rate in the world, the lowest employment rate, the highest number of people who go to bed hungry every night. And all in the name of a constitutional democracy that is standing to be judged on how it performs. So it is incumbent on those who get asked to do these things to actually look at their own conduct as well, because what they're doing through their conduct, especially when they repeat themselves in various commissions, is it's saying that only few of us can deal with these matters.
Prof. Cooper, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this evening, but thank you so much for your time and for your insights. Certainly, we hope that at the end of the day, in the next coming couple of months, many of these cases will be brought to the fore and put to bed. Thank you so much for your time. That was Professor Saths Cooper, who's a psychologist and anti-apartheid activist.